Fight Mike here. Today I'm going to be doing predictions for the main event of UFC 322 taking place over the weekend. It's Giacomo Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. It's the big one. It's Madison Square Garden. And I'm going to be doing the main event predictions for this one. I've got the full card predictions coming out tomorrow. But let's jump straight in and chat about the matchup. But this is a really big fight. One of the most competitive fights of the year. Probably the most meaningful fight of the year. And probably even the closest fight of the year. I've honestly been switching my pick daily. One day I'm going, just JDM, his boxing is too good. He's going to be able to put the damage on Islam. And then some days I'm looking at Islam like, this guy's got the grappling. He's going to snatch up that DAS as JDM changes levels. But I've finally made my pick. I'm going to go through in this video today, but let's chat about the matchup. On one hand, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking Islam struggled with Poirier. He struggled with Volk, who's a 45er. And then on the other hand, JDM struggled with Burns' grappling and Basil Hafez, who was like a sack of milk after that fight. But both of these guys are each other's worst matchups. When I'm talking about Islam's least good performances, it was against guys who had good takedown defense, were able to work back off bottom with good cardio and good boxing, and JDM's exactly that. And the guys that JDM have struggled with have been the Basil Hafez's, have been the Gilbert Burns, the guys that have very good wrestling, good control. Basil not so much, that was more JDM's issues, but they're each other's both worst matchup. They're very difficult to come up against. JDM, I think, is going to do pretty well in the boxing area. He's going to need to push Islam back early, try and draw out some bad takedown attempts, and he needs to make sure Islam doesn't get comfortable. He has to feel the pressure of Jack. Jack's going to have to target the body and legs early, though, to make him feel that pressure, to make Islam second-guess himself, and I think early on, he's going to have to go for those risky hooks to the body. He's going to have to jab to the body and straight to the body like he usually does. And he specifically needs to aim for the chest, maybe to try and catch Islam as he goes for those takedowns, or even just have a natural underhook when one's going for those body shots. Jack does have some nice kicks as well. He doesn't use them too much, and he shouldn't use them too much against Islam, who can catch them really easily. But he should still try and pull him about, especially that teep to the body. Some of those leg kicks would be handy. He needs to keep Islam on his toes, and he needs to keep him taking damage the entire time. But one thing for Jack, he can't use too much head movement. He's constantly swaying side to side. He did it a lot against Bilal, but that's kind of fine because Bilal doesn't throw hard head kicks. But against Islam Makhachev, a guy who was able to knock out Alexander Volkanovski with a beautiful head kick, he's going to want to sort of avoid using that much head movement because it will draw himself into a head kick of Islam. And I think for JDM, something that he's very good at is the footwork, and he's going to have to use that as effectively as possible in this fight. If you remember watching the Bilal Muhammad fight, he was able to, every time Bilal would get him close to the fence, he was able to circle back off, use his footwork, get back around, get back in the center of the cage. And that's going to be super helpful against Islam, just because Islam, he does move back a lot. He's more of a counter striker, but that doesn't mean that footwork's not still useful. He's still going to have to draw Islam into moving forwards, moving back himself, and then circling back around or hitting him and punishing him with something as well. Or even on the front foot, trying not to push forward too heavily so that Islam isn't able to just duck under the punches and land the takedown. For Islam, I think he should be trying to get him into the wrestling. He's going to dominate the wrestling once he gets Jack down there, especially early in the fight. And he even might be able to get a finish, at least controlling the round, though. JDM has a lot of crafty grappling moves, though. I just can't help feel that it won't work. I think Islam's heavy pressure style, he's very good at following with transitions. And he's very hard to break the grip of, so it's very difficult to even get to those positions. Islam, though, on the feet needs to be constantly kicking the legs, the body, the head. He needs to set up JDM to walk into a punch there or walk into a kick. And it is a very 50-50 fight. These guys both have their strengths as their opponent's weaknesses. And that's sort of what makes this fight so fun. I think JDM's going to get it done, though. For an actual predictions, I wanted to give what the strengths each other have coming into the fight. But I think JDM's going to get it done. Islam's got the skills to win, and there's a lot of things that worry me in this matchup. But I don't think, a few of JDM's get-up tools like the octopus guard or using the hip toss up against the cage, that's not going to work on Islam. The octopus guard in parts might work maybe to transition to another type of guard or try to get feet on hips, try to do something else from octopus guard, but I doubt anything's going to work in that guard. I think Islam knows that that's what they're looking for. And then the hip tosses up against the cage, which if you didn't notice, JDM did very well against Bilal. That's not going to work against Islam. He's got a lot more pressure in those positions, and he's going to be aware of that, and he's going to follow the hip toss and bring him to the ground and land up on top. It's a very difficult spot for JDM to get up against that cage, and I don't think a lot of his nifty Craig Jones tricks are going to work. And even then, a lot of the stuff like JDM, he follows with the level changes with his head, like sort of brings his head and his guard down to use his forearms on a level change. And although I think that'll work very well, if Islam's able to draw out that reaction, it's going to be very difficult for him to avoid that Das choke because he sort of brings his arms and head into the position where he could be Das choked. So that's going to be a bit of a worry for JDM. I'm going to be worried about watching that. And one other thing is in half guard, JDM's not going to be able to get up as easily as he did against Gilbert Burns and Bilal Muhammad, just because Islam's very good at waiting in those positions. He can make sure that he's not going to be in danger of losing positions, and he'll follow you in those positions with whatever submission works. He's very good at that. He almost waits for you to make the mistake so he can hop on the submission, and that's like a 49% likelihood in my brain of happening, but JDM has to get it done, and I think the reason why is because JDM's a damage first guy. He's not like a one-hitter quitter guy. He doesn't just punch you and you switch off and you're like shriveled up on the canvas twitching, but he puts a proper beating on you. And unlike Khabib, Islam marks very, very easily, and the way that JDM fights is going to lead to Islam taking a lot of visible damage. Because the thing is that Islam, in between moments, in between his takedown attempts, in between his clinch work, where he's kneeing the body, kneeing the face, which will work in this fight, in between those moments, he's going to get peppered up by a jab of JDM. He's going to be getting hit with some straight rights to the body or some lead hooks to the body in a three-punch combination with a jab and a straight going up top first. It's a constant offense from JDM. If you've got separations, JDM's hitting you. And a lot of the stuff he does is to dissuade the takedowns. He's throwing uppercuts all the time, feinting them all the time as well. Throwing lead knees, rear knees, and feinting them both as well. So he's got this style where Islam's going to be constantly thinking about all the shots that he's getting peppered with. He's going to be thinking about the busted up nose he's going to have after a couple of jabs. He's going to be thinking about all those body shots and those straights to the body that are hitting his solar plexus and hitting his liver. And those first few rounds, I think he's going to win those rounds, and I think he's going to have some big moments, maybe taking the back of JDM. But the damage is going to add up. By rounds 3 and 5, JDM may have worked harder, but he's going to take less damage. And honestly, he might get his back taken for a round. He might get controlled, or he might slightly lose on numbers that round. But the last 3 rounds, JDM's already shown he's got the grit and the will to win. He's shown that he can push against Bilal in the 5th round, keep bringing him up against the cage, throwing 5-punch combinations, body, body, head, 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 body, body, just unleashing shots on him. And I think against an Islam Makhachev, that's going to be very difficult, but I think he can get it done. Islam's going to have those moments where he's got his back, he's taken him down, he's got him in half guard, but once they get back up, JDM's going to JDM it. I literally use JDM as an adjective sometimes, or an adverb, where if I'm describing someone who can just push and has a will to win once they get back to their feet, I'm going to say they're JDM it, and that's for a reason. Once JDM gets taken down, if he can get back up from there, he's back on the pressure straight away. He's back looking for body shots. He's looking to press you up against the cage. He's looking to break you as soon as he gets you there. And in those last 3 rounds where JDM's going to be slippery and he's going to have defended a few takedowns, he's going to work very hard. I know he's going to work very hard, but those takedowns as the fight goes along get harder for Islam, and Jack's going to go really hard on him once he's able to get back onto the feet, and people underestimate his cardio, and I think that that's one of his best attributes. Bilal Muhammad is known for his cardio. He's very good in his cardio. Probably one of the best in the UFC. I would say a top 10 easily. JDM out-cardioed him. He didn't just out-damage him. In that 5th round, the judges had it 2-2, and Bilal got the takedown. But it was just in that last minute 30, JDM was able to get back up after being held down for a minute and just start throwing caution into the wind. He was throwing 5-punch combinations up against the cage, slipping and ripping. People underestimate that part of JDM's game. He's got insane cardio. Took until the 3rd round to beat Gilbert Burns, but then when it came down to the 3rd round, he was able to cause that massive scramble, land the beautiful knee, and get the finishing touches of like 35 unanswered follow-up shots. So JDM's got really good cardio, and as the fight goes later, JDM's going to start running circles around him, and I think he's going to be able to win a 48-47 decision. But I want to hear what you think of this in the comment section below. This is probably a fight that I get wrong, because up until literally the time that I was recording it, I was switching my pick 1-1. When this fight first got announced, though, I was picking Islam. So let's see if going up against my hunch does work. I'm nervous about this one. I'm a massive JDM fan, and Islam's a very good opponent. I just think that JDM's got the skills and he's got the tools to beat Islam in this one. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.